Now when you look at the depth of the edge rusher position for the Browns, you don't have that stalwart, that peak alpha apex edge rusher Myles Garrett.
The Cleveland Browns face a defensive crossroads that nobody can brush off after trading away Myles Garrett. This is not a situation where the franchise assumes its pass rush is automatically fine. Garrett was not simply another edge rusher. He was the alpha, the weekly problem every offense built its protection plan around, the game wrecker who could wreck contests even when the rest of the defense was imperfect. His absence creates an uncomfortable question. Do the Browns need another veteran pass rusher to stabilize the defensive line, or would adding one undermine the rebuild they've already initiated?
They got Jarrett Verse, they got Alex Wright, Isaiah McGuire. Those two guys will probably be rotating back and forth. Mason Graham's a younger guy. I look at it and say, how much is he going to demand on the open market? How healthy is he? And what is the Browns' appetite for going to get 30-year-old players?
This is where Joey Bosa enters the picture. Fox Sports floated the Browns as a possible fit, and superficially, the logic makes sense. The Browns lost Garrett. Bosa is a former star. Cleveland needs edge depth. Last season, Garrett produced 23 sacks, a single-season franchise record, while no other Browns edge rusher reached 6. That massive production gap makes adding a proven veteran feel absolutely necessary. When you look at the roster, it's easy to say, go add a veteran, go add a name, go add somebody who can replace the pressure you lost. However, football decisions are not made in a vacuum. The real question transcends whether Bosa can still play. It's whether Bosa fits what the Browns are actually trying to become. In 2025, Bosa recorded 5 sacks and forced 5 fumbles. He still has flashes. He remains a recognizable name, still respected, and still someone offenses would account for. But here's where the surface logic breaks down. Without Garrett, the Browns' edge room looks completely different. Jarrett Verse, acquired in the Garrett trade, instantly becomes the group's face. The roster also includes Alex Wright, Isaiah McGuire, Julian Okwara, and Sam Kamara in the defensive end mix. These are not bad pieces, but they are not Garrett. That's the entire point. The Browns are replacing one of football's most dominant defensive players with a collective approach. That means deciding whether to patch the room with a veteran or accept growing pains while evaluating who these younger players actually are. This decision will shape the franchise's trajectory. The argument for signing Bosa is obvious. You want pressure from multiple sources. You want depth, you want insurance against injuries, you want someone who has been in big moments and can stabilize a young defensive line inheriting massive responsibility. If the Browns are trying to be competitive this season, adding Bosa gives them another credible rusher and prevents offenses from laser focusing only on Verse. Even if Bosa is no longer in his prime, a healthy version still creates real problems for opposing quarterbacks. But here's where the argument fractures. Bosa is in his early 30s with a career second half plagued by injuries that limit availability and consistency. You're not signing the old Bosa, the dynamic force from his prime. You're signing the current version, one who may have flashes but may not be available every week. If he's seeking $6 to $8 million annually on a 1 or 2 year deal, Cleveland must ask, is that money better spent on a short-term veteran or saved for a roster clearly entering a new phase? The Browns did not trade Garrett to go all in for this exact season or make one final championship push. Trading Garrett signals the team is looking beyond 1 year. They may still want to compete. No NFL front office admits giving up. But the move told everyone Cleveland is changing its organizational timelines. When you move a superstar cost rusher still in his prime, you're not acting like a team one veteran away from a Super Bowl. You're resetting value, collecting assets, and letting younger players step into bigger roles. This is a strategic reset, not a quick fix. That's precisely why signing Bosa could feel wrong despite its appeal. If the Browns were still loaded with Garrett and pushing for one more playoff run, adding Bosa as a complementary rusher would be exciting. But without Garrett, Bosa might not change the defensive ceiling enough to justify taking valuable reps from younger players who need opportunities to develop. Alex Wright needs significant snaps. Isaiah McGuire needs real playing time to show if he can become more than a rotational piece. Jarrett Verse needs to become the guy, the leader, the foundation. Mason Graham and other young defensive pieces need room to grow. If Bosa takes those snaps, the Browns better be certain the trade-off is worth it.
How could anybody think that you're going to be likely to have a top 5 defense? You lost your defensive coordinator, who did a bang-up job with this defense last year, put them in a tremendous position, put Myles in position to make plays, got turnovers, got sacks. I mean, you name it. They did it all last year. Disguise. I mean, it was phenomenal. You lose Myles Garrett, the guy's going to the Hall of Fame at 23 sacks. How are they going to be top 5? Tell me how they're going to be top 5.
Jarrett Verse is the most important name in this entire conversation. He's not just another young player finding his way, he's already a 2-time Pro Bowler who has established himself as a legitimate player. He came through the Garrett trade, meaning he's replacing not only production but presence and leadership. That's a massive responsibility. But maybe that's exactly why the Browns should let him own the room completely. Let him walk into Cleveland knowing this is his defensive line now. Let him set the tone, let him lead, let him become the player the Browns believe they acquired. Leadership isn't always about age and tenure. Sometimes credibility matters more than tenure. The transcript notes that when Verse learned about the trade, he wanted to address the team and encourage them to keep winning. That's significant. If a player can stand before one locker room with that kind of authority, why would Cleveland bring him in and immediately make him defer to Joey Bosa? Verse shouldn't step aside for a veteran potentially passing through for 1 year. The defense still has other leaders. Denzel Ward provides veteran presence. Mason Graham can grow into a major presence. The defense isn't completely empty of leadership. That's why the veteran presence argument only stretches so far. Yes, every team uses veterans. Yes, locker rooms benefit from experienced players. But you don't sign a veteran just to sign one. The veteran must fit the role, the money, the timeline, and the culture. If Bosa isn't clearly raising the ceiling and is taking crucial development snaps, leadership alone isn't enough. From Bosa's perspective, the fit is questionable. Why would he choose Cleveland right now? Late career veterans seek either a championship window or maximum financial compensation. The Browns may not offer the strongest winning opportunity after trading Garrett. If Bosa has options with Philadelphia, San Francisco, Baltimore, Buffalo, or Pittsburgh, he may prefer a contender. If he can reunite with his brother in San Francisco, that storyline makes competitive and emotional sense. That's the reality Cleveland faces. Right now, the Browns are not where veteran free agents automatically line up to chase rings. Maybe that changes in a year or two if the young core develops quickly. Maybe Verse becomes a star and the quarterback situation stabilizes. But today, if a late career veteran signs there, it's because the Browns pay most or his market was weaker elsewhere. That's not disrespect, it's where the franchise sits in its competitive cycle.
This one I'm a little torn on because you kind of got Myles Garrett when you traded him, right? Kind of signified that, okay, well, the Browns are necessarily not looking at this year per se. They still want to go out and be competitive.
This doesn't mean the Browns ignore the veteran market entirely. There's a difference between adding the wrong veteran and adding the right one at the right time. If a pass rusher becomes available at the right price, with a clear defined role, and understands he's not stealing the development plan, Cleveland should listen. Depth matters. Injuries happen constantly. Rotations matter in the AFC North. You can never have too many players who affect the quarterback. But the Browns must not overpay for a name just because Garrett is gone. That's how teams get stuck between rebuilding and pretending they're still contenders.
And if I'm Bosa, I want to go back to a contender. I probably want to be with someone again like Buffalo. I don't know what the Bills' situation is. They're probably moving on from him, but I want to go to a contender. And if I'm Cleveland, why do I need Joey Bosa? Yeah. He's 31. It's going to cost a decent chunk of money, not like a ton of money, but you got a bunch of young players who you want to play and get the experience as opposed to having this dude.
The real danger is this. The Browns cannot emotionally replace Myles Garrett. They cannot say, we lost a superstar, so let's sign a famous veteran and everyone feels better. That's not roster building, that's public relations. Garrett's departure creates a hole, but the answer may not be one player. It may be development through time. It may be scheme adjustments. It may be Verse taking the next step. It may be Wright or McGuire becoming consistent. It may be the defensive coordinator creating pressure with creative fronts, intelligent rotations, and beneficial matchups, instead of relying on one monster off the edge. Garrett had 23 sacks and broke the single-season record. No other Browns edge rusher reached 6. That's a massive gap. Signing Bosa doesn't automatically close it. 5 sacks doesn't replace 23. Even if he helps, Cleveland still needs internal growth. The real solution comes from Verse becoming a star, young rushers becoming reliable, and overall scheme improvement. That's why the Browns shouldn't trick themselves into thinking a veteran addition solves the defensive line puzzle. The Browns must be extremely careful with rep distribution. Reps aren't just practice snaps, they're investments in a player's future and development. Every snap Alex Wright gets is a chance to prove he can be part of the next defense. Every snap Isaiah McGuire gets is an opportunity to show he can become more than rotational. Every snap Verse gets as the lead guy helps him grow into the role Cleveland needs him to own completely. If Bosa takes those snaps, the Browns better be absolutely certain the trade-off is worth it. Cleveland is trying to build a new defensive era from scratch. The Garrett era was special, but didn't bring the championship Browns fans deserved. Now the team must prove trading him wasn't just losing a superstar. They must prove it was the start of smarter roster construction. That means letting young players play and get meaningful opportunities. It means accepting growing pains. It means finding out if Verse can lead the next great Browns defense. It means not panicking because the depth chart looks less terrifying without Garrett's name at the top. There's genuine risk in doing absolutely nothing. If the young pass rush doesn't develop, the defense could take a major step back. If Verse gets hurt, the edge room becomes dangerously thin. If Wright and McGuire don't become consistent, quarterbacks get excessive time. Combined with an offense still figuring itself out, a weak pass rush could cost crucial games. That's the argument for adding a veteran. Not because Bosa is the future, but because you still need a floor. You still need enough depth to survive the season.
Speaking of Myles Garrett being traded, the Browns defense for 2 of the last 3 years has been very good, right? The year in between, they were, okay, decent. But for 2 of the last 3 years, including last year, the Browns defense has probably been one of the 5 best in the league.
In the end, this isn't really about Joey Bosa as a player. It's about what the Browns think they are as an organization. Are they still trying to win enough games this year to matter? Or are they admitting this is a transition year built around evaluation and growth? Are they comfortable letting Jarrett Verse become the defensive line's new face? Or do they need a veteran safety net? Are they brave enough to accept young player mistakes? Or will they chase an older name because Garrett's absence feels too big?
Jarrett Verse, I know he's a third-year player, but you're a 2-time Pro Bowler. You're replacing Myles Garrett. Let him be the man.
Yes.
Let him come in and have the opportunity to take on that leadership role as a young player who's established himself in the league, as opposed to coming in and be like, okay, I have to acquiesce to
Now
Joey Bosa.
you're bumping into Joey Bosa, and for what?
For what? He's going to be gone next year.
Yeah.
That's the question Browns fans should argue about. Adding a veteran pass rusher sounds good because the name is familiar and the need is real. But the Browns must be honest about the timeline. If Joey Bosa comes cheap and accepts a clear rotational role, maybe it makes sense. But if he costs real money, takes real development snaps, and delays growth of players Cleveland needs to evaluate, the Browns should walk away. Because after trading Myles Garrett, this defense cannot be built on nostalgia or panic. It must be built on the next version of the team. The real debate is whether that next version needs one more veteran edge rusher, or whether it needs the Browns to hand Jarrett Verse the keys immediately and genuinely commit to letting young players define this era. That's not just about Joey Bosa. That's about the Browns' future.